Okay, we're going to welcome you to the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you listening in to the Teal Shirt Report podcast as well. Dewey no longer a Jaguar. What was his old saying? It's always been the Jaguars. And you know what? With Dewey, and we're talking about Andrew Wingard. Andrew Wingard who wore number 42 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he wanted to stay in Jacksonville. I really do. He was just not offered. He was just not offered a new deal by General Manager James Gladstone. I saw some report before free agency started. I think the day of or the day before that Dewey had not heard from General Manager James Gladstone. So it appears the Jags were going in absolutely another direction. However, Dewey's getting another opportunity. He signed with the Arizona Cardinals. He's gonna be fine. In the future, he'll have the NFL retirement. Now he's got another opportunity with the Cardinals to prove to the Jags and everybody else, man, hey, I wasn't done. He stayed with the Jacksonville Jaguars for 7 years. 7 years for Dewey in Jacksonville. ETN was in Jacksonville for 5 years. A lot of people thought he was going to Kansas City. Kansas City signed the Seattle running back, who, by the way, was the Super Bowl MVP. And I guess the next offer was the Saints, and ETN jumped on that, and he's now a New Orleans Saint. So players are changing. Cornerback Buster Brown, who we thought the Jags might lose him. However, Gladstone got creative with the contract, and he's going to be here, I believe, another 3 years. The contract is for 3 years, as I understand it. If he hangs in and lasts through the contract, he's a good ball player. Not the fastest cornerback out there. 4.5 speed during the combine. However, technically sound, as we've talked about, he works really, really hard, and he earned this deal. The Jaguars have signed cornerback Buster Brown. Monteric Brown will stay in Jacksonville with a huge 3-year contract extension worth over the life of the contract about $33 million over the 3 years. That's not the guaranteed money. However, he's gonna do pretty well. And I liked him. I like the way he plays. I liked the late round defensive backs that even Trent Baalke had drafted, including Monteric Brown. It's hard to believe he's been with the Jaguars for 4 years. Antonio Johnson, I like him too, the safety out of Texas A&M. He's been with the Jags for 3 years, so he'll be in the same boat next year, looking to get a contract from the Jags or perhaps going into free agency himself. But we got another year of AJ Antonio Johnson out of Texas A&M. He was a late round pick, 5th-round pick. Monteric Brown was actually a 7th-round pick out of Arkansas. Now he's getting the bigger money than he was making. 7th rounder out of Arkansas. The Jags got some good DBs. The Jags really are actually. I don't know if I want to use the term loaded with DBs, but man, they've got some depth there. That's right. That's why Wingard isn't coming back. The Jags are going in a different direction, and there'll be, some defensive backs drafted, I'm sure, late rounds. I like those late round DBs. Could see a DB signed as a free agent, perhaps. The Jags did replace ETN with what's the kid's name? Chris Rodriguez from the Commanders, Washington Commanders. But you still got the real replacement for ETN is Brashell Tootin, who General Manager James Gladstone drafted last year. Surprised some people when they picked Brashell Tootin in the 3rd round. Very, very fast player. And the thing about Tootin, he was just a rookie last year. He's got to put a full season together because ETN just showed to me that he was the more complete and consistent running back, and that's why ETN got the playing time over Tootin in the critical situation. So Tootin has got a lot to prove. He needs a good training camp preseason and a really good second year in the National Football League. Again, Dewey, Andrew Wingert signed with the Cardinals. He's going to be fine. He's landed on his feet. I don't believe he wanted to leave Jacksonville. It was not him. He said, I saw some tweets or twats or what do you call those things? Tweets. But it's now known as the X because we're on the X too. Scott at Big J Report. What is it? BigJReport.com, Scott, on the X. So we saw some things saying that, that Andrew Wingert, Dewey, had not been contacted by James Gladstone, the general manager of the Jacksonville Jaguars. They've decided to go in an absolute different direction. And they have. This is episode show number 24 of the Teal Shirt Report podcast, brought to you by Social Realty and Capital. Also by the MadMixMix.weebly.com and JC's Fine Show on Thursday nights. In the pub with JC on Thursday nights, live from LakeUpalaHits.com. Great internet radio. JC, I did not understand it. I did not understand the Bengals. No, the Bengals should not be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I haven't looked up the Go-Go's yet, but the Bengals, no, not the Bengals. Not the Bengals in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You got a running back out there, Fred Taylor, who should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But the Bengals, no, they should not be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We got our concerts listed up on BigJReport.com in the Neighbors 2 section. Pat Travers, JC, you did finally play it. Pat Travers, his Snorting Whiskey song. You did finally play it on your show. Thank you so much. Played some Steely Dan for me the same night. Pat Travers will be at it's a newer venue in Jacksonville called The Five in 5 Points on Park Street. Pat Travers, great songs over the years. Snorting Whiskey, Boom Boom, Out Go the Lights. A song that my good buddy Big Bill liked a lot, Crash and Burn. You remember that, Bill, when you used to listen to Crash and Burn by Pat Travers? And Pat Travers, huge back around 1980. And had some other great songs, too. New Age Music was a song he had out a couple of years after Snorting Whiskey. Boom Boom, Out Go the Lights was a little bit earlier than Snorting Whiskey. And you had... let me see. Pat Travers had, I mentioned Boom Boom, Out Go the Lights, but he had Crash and Burn, New Age Music, and a few other songs. But a guy that, I saw something come up on YouTube one night. Hey, why didn't Pat Travers make it any bigger than he did? Because early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, this guy was a tremendous guitar player, had great songs, just didn't get as big as some of the other groups. But my circle and myself like Pat Travers a good bit. Pat Travers is scheduled to be at the 5 on Park Street. Used to be known as the Sunray Theaters on Park Street in the 5 Points area. And Pat Travers will be playing a show over there on May 1st. I think the doors open at 7. I think the show starts around 8. Get your tickets over there at the 5 on Park Street for Pat Travers May 1st. At the 5. And you can check our concert listings at BigJReport.com. BigJReport.com in the Neighbors 2 section. We've got the concerts up there. Barry Manilow rescheduled after having some health issues. He rescheduled at the ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena on April the 27th. Pat Travers will be at the 5 on May the 1st. And check out the rest of the shows. Journey's coming. Foreigner's coming. A lot of great shows listed in the Neighbors 2 section at BigJReport.com in the Neighbors 2 section. Have we hit all the free agents? Well, in the Florida Gator basketball team, what a great year they've had. SEC regular season SEC college basketball champions of the SEC, the Florida Gators, great season. They also, they got a bye in the SEC tournament. And then they, beat up on Kentucky for the 3rd time in a row. Florida downs Kentucky. And this was in the SEC basketball tournament. Florida is actually playing Vanderbilt. They're actually playing the Vanderbilt Commodores in the next round of the tournament. Let me see if I got an update on that. Vanderbilt actually had about a 2-point lead in that game. And let me see if we can find the score. Yeah, here's the score. Vanderbilt is out in front in the first half with about 7 minutes to go in the first half. Vanderbilt 26, the Florida Gators 19. Could be a trap game for Florida. I think Florida's probably going to be a number one at the outside, a number 2 seed, but most likely, even if they lose this game and get bounced out of the tournament, Florida was the SEC regular season conference champions. Florida should still be, I believe, a number 1 seed, even if they get knocked out by Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's got a 26-19 lead over Florida in the first half, and there's a lot of the conference basketball tournaments that are going on. Florida did win the regular season SEC going away. They won it by 3 games over the next couple of teams. So Florida had a great regular season. They're in the top 5 in the college basketball poll, and they're going to be a number 1 seed more than likely. Jacksonville Icemen, man, they were losing a lot of games, and they finally won a game on Friday night. The game was actually on TV, on MeTV here locally. I got a chance to watch the Icemen, the Jacksonville Icemen 2, the Greenville Swamp Rabbits 1. The game went overtime. And so the Icemen get a victory on the scoreboard. It took overtime, though. The Jacksonville Icemen with a good Friday night win. That's right, the Jacksonville Icemen with a good Friday night, March 13th of 2026 overtime win, 2-1 over the Greenville Swamp Rabbits at home. The Icemen now 21-27-7 plus 1 overtime shootout loss earlier in this East Coast Hockey League 2025 season. That information comes to us from BigJReport.com. We're brought to you by Saucer Realty and Capital for your real estate needs in North Florida. Whether it's home, residential, business, or commercial real estate, Saucer Realty and Capital, you'll find a link on our website at BigJReport.com in the homepage area near the North Florida weather reports for North Florida and surrounding areas. I want to thank Mad Max, has been playing a lot of good tunes for us of the Mad Max Mix on Wednesday nights, the madmaxmix.weebly.com, and Max's Wednesday night show, 6 till 8 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Max plays long tracks after his show, too, as kind of an encore. JC's show is the very next night on Thursday nights. JC in the Pub on Thursday nights, live at LakeUfallahits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. So Mad Max on Wednesday nights, JC in the Pub on Thursday nights, 2 really great internet radio shows. However, JC, the Bengals, I tell you the truth, I did play the Bengals during my terrestrial radio days. Might have played them on Lake 98 a little bit, but I think the first time I'd heard about the Bengals, played them when I worked at a station called 94Q. And the Bengals had, a couple of good songs here and there, but no. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame worthy, no. My Cars are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. A few weeks ago or a few episodes ago, we talked about Heart in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yes, they should be there. There's probably some Rock and Roll Hall of Fame groups that have been inducted that maybe they shouldn't have. However, the ones that should have, the Cars should have been in there. Skinner, Heart, 2 great songs, Magic Man. But the Bengals, no. And then you got Fred Taylor, who cannot get in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, the Bengals, no. Not now, not ever. God, that's harsh. But JC, you mentioned they were not in the Hall of Fame like they should be. Like they should have been. We could debate this all day long. I'm not sure JC really thought in his right mind that the Bengals should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but he did kind of mentioned something along the lines that maybe they should belong in there. So I don't know. But we're always open for clear debate, here on the Teal Shirt Report podcast. No doubt about that. And man, we appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm having actually some technical issues with getting our music on for whatever reason. Um, let's see what's happening here. Got a crowd of people listening. We do appreciate you guys being here on the Teal Shirt Report podcast. I got to work on some of these technical issues. I don't know what's going on, but we gave you a little bit of an episode, show 24. I got an idea. We're coming back with 24A. Pat Travers, he's a good guitar player. They had some good songs, JC. But I know the Bangles were big in the 80s. Pat Travers was more late 70s, early, maybe a little bit mid 80s. But I don't think you were as familiar with Pat Travers. So we're trying to educate everybody, JC. We really are. And there's songs I pull out and I tell JC, hey, get this one on. And some of the songs I've requested for JC to play that, and some he might not even be familiar with, all of them. Some of them he liked and some of them he didn't. And that's just everybody has music tastes. The Bangles, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame worthy? No. The Cars, that first album was so tremendous. Second album, very, very good too. And they kept it going. JC, you know about Shake It Up later on, which might have been their fourth album. I think Panorama was the third album for the Cars. But, we can debate music. JC knows we've discussed this thing. I'm trying to collect a lot of, in my mind, what were the actually definitive songs of the 1970s. And they were not necessarily, the best songs, all of them, but they were definitive to the 1970s, if you know what that entails. Mad Max plays a lot of great songs on his show on Wednesday night. So does JC. On Thursday nights, JC in the pub at LakeUpAllTheHits.com does a live show on Thursday nights in the pub with JC on Thursday nights at LakeUpAllTheHits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. And it's mentioned in our ticker right at the bottom part of the screen on our podcast. So the Jags moving in a different direction on Dewey, Andrew Wingert. He didn't get a call. I think that was Wingert's X account. Said, I didn't get a call from General Manager James Gladstone. Because Dewey had, when Balky was around, and Dewey goes back to, Andrew Wingert goes back, to Urban Meyer and Doug Marrone. 7 years in Jacksonville for Dewey, a fan favorite, but not everybody liked Dewey. Just not everybody liked the Bengals, JC. But I will give you this: the Bengals had a couple of good songs. I played some of them. I know I played the Bengals when I worked at 94Q, so I'm very familiar with them. But Hall of Fame worthy, no. I heard the Bengals. I heard the Bengals on your show Thursday night. You play a lot of good music, JC, but everybody's in a different mood with music, and everybody has a different opinion on music. I heard you play Aqua. Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of Aqua or the Bengals. JC knows I'm not big on all the ELO tunes, Electric Light Orchestra. I like Telephone Line by ELO. Another song, what was the other song I liked by Electric Light Orchestra? It was I can't get it out of my mind, or I think it was called I Can't Get It Out of My Mind. There was a couple of songs I liked by ELO, but they were not timeless. They were just not a timeless group in the 70s. Like another song, like I've mentioned, Heart, Magic Man, that tune is timeless. And there's some other ones like that. Some definitive 70s tunes, we'll put them up in the comments and I'll put them up there and you'll see what I'm talking about. A lot of definitive 70s songs, and we will post them in the comment area of our YouTube channel, the Teal Shirt Report podcast from BigJReport.com. I'm having a little issue getting the music on for whatever reason, so we'll kind of fumble around and get through this one. And this is episode show number 24. I'm sure we'll have a 24A coming up. We appreciate you guys tuning in to the Teal Shirt Report podcast. I'm your host, Scott. Episode show number 24. I want to thank our executive producer, JC, who has to put up with me a lot, I know. I love his show on Thursday nights in the pub with JC. Check him out at LakeViewFallHits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good on Thursday nights. Mad Max is a tremendous show on Wednesday nights. The MadMaxMix.weebly.com. And if you want to find those shows, go to our website at BigJReport.com. Scroll our Neighbors 2 section. You'll find some of the latest concert listings for North Florida and surrounding areas. Joe Jackson will be in Atlanta during the summer, and we've got that actually posted in our, in the concert area of concerts that we're publicizing in the Neighbors 2 section at BigJReport.com. I appreciate all of you guys tuning in for episode show number 24. This is actually episode show number 24 of the year 2026. Sometimes I have to count on my fingers like how many years we've been doing this since 2020. We started out as strictly audio, and now we've got a YouTube channel, which we've kind of turned it into somewhat audio. Check out the earlier podcast episodes, and people do. And we appreciate all of you guys tuning in. We appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Over 2,000 subscribers. Keep it coming. If you have comments about music, you have an opinion on the Bengals, let me know. I just, from a personal standpoint, a guy that worked in, terrestrial radio for well over 20, 25 years, the Bengals had some nice songs. I don't know. I haven't really done the research on the Bengals. I'm sure JC has. But I wouldn't mind knowing how many top 10 hits they had. I know they had at least a couple of really good songs, but I just don't see the Bengals as a rock and roll Hall of Fame member. I'll just leave it like that. We've been eloquently produced by our executive producer, JC, also by Alex Nunnery. Alex has a lot of great videos up on our channel, too. Oh, we do want to congratulate, before we go, Providence. JC, you know that one of your Duke Blue Devils, Grayson Allen, played for Providence, but this year's version of Providence School in Jacksonville, the boys basketball team won the 2A state championship in Florida. Congratulations to Coach Jimmy Martin at Providence. And then I'm pulling out the old, the latest Times Union in Jacksonville. And I see that I was going over some of that. It looks like there's a big spread in the sports section on the Bishop Kenny girls. Bishop Kenny locks down the state championship. Bishop Kenny's Shay Donovan, the center, is on that team. And, man, how about that? The champions. Bishop Kenny girls, Providence School boys won the 2A. And I believe with Bishop Kenny, that was 4A, right? Yeah, Bishop Kenny won the Bishop Kenny girls won the 4A title. And if any of you guys from right around here in Jacksonville and North Florida know of any other high schools that won titles, let us know. Or if you have any comments, we want to congratulate all the teams from our area. I understand, Mad Max was texting with me, and man, Lake Eufaula High School baseball. I talk about LakeViewFallHits.com, of course, but Lakeside, that's the name of the school, Lakeside. I'm thinking about Lake Eufaula Hits, right, JC? But Lakeside School, known as the Chiefs, man, they've had a high school baseball team, tremendous high school baseball team for the past 3 years or more. And we'll be putting some stuff up on our website in our neighbors area and beyond. But the Lakeside Chiefs private school up in Eufaula, Alabama, they have had a tremendous baseball team for the last 3 years. Mad Max has been keeping me up to date with them. We'll be talking more about the Lakeside Chiefs baseball team. That's a good baseball team. A lot of victories over the last 3 years for the Lakeside School baseball team. and we'll be writing up something about them. The golf tournament is going on, the TPC. That's right. They're in the third round today on Saturday, March the 14th. We told you about the Icemen's 2-1 win over the Greenville Swamp Rabbits at home at the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. 2-1 overtime win for the Jacksonville Icemen over the Greenville Swamp Rabbits at home on Friday night. On Friday night the 13th, Friday night, March 13th of 2026. PGA Golf, TPC at Sawgrass after 2 rounds and moving into round 3 today on Saturday, March the 14th. First place thus far as of this morning, Ludwig Aberg, 12 under par in first place. Second place is Scheffler. Scheffler's in second place. Scheffler, 10 under par. The leader, Ludwig Aberg, 12 under par as of Saturday morning, March the 14th. Second place is Scheffler. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Scheffler. I mean, I'm not the biggest golf guy in the world, but we love the TPC at Sawgrass at Ponte Vedra. So Aberg is in first place at 12 under. Scheffler. It's hard to say that guy's name. Scheffel. 10 under par. That's right. Is it Shepley? I got to work on my pronunciations. We'll be back with another episode. Ludwig Aberg at 12 under. Shepley at 10 under par. TPC going on this weekend. And man, we appreciate you guys tuning in to the Teal Shirt Report podcast. I'm your host, Scott. We'll be back again. Episode show number 24 is next up on the docket. This has been episode show number 24. Dewey has now moved on to the Cardinals. That's Andrew Wingert, safety. He started last year for the Jags at safety. He's been a special teamer, starting safety, a backup safety, but Dewey is no more in Jacksonville. He was not offered, apparently, a new contract by the general manager, James Gladstone. So Dewey and his agent, they looked around and the Cardinals offered him. So he's now moving to be an Arizona Cardinal. Travis Etienne, number 1 with the Jaguars. He's not with the Jaguars anymore. He's moved over to New Orleans. The Chiefs signed the Seattle running back, and then Etienne signed with the Saints. The Jaguars did sign the Commanders running back. What's the guy's name? Chris Rodriguez, I believe. And he's been a good player. Liam Cohen knew him out of Kentucky. Played some college ball at Kentucky, in fact. So that's some of what's going on today. The Jags have re-signed some players like Buster Brown. How about this? The Bengals signed journeyman quarterback Josh Johnson. I think he's been on like 14 different NFL teams, and he's coming back for another year in 2026. Happy birthday to Daryl Smith, former linebacker of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I believe he finished his career with the Baltimore Ravens. I believe happy birthday to Daryl Smith, former Jacksonville Jaguars player. Really good player, too. TPC at Sawgrass after 2 rounds and moving into the third round. First place thus far, Ludwig Aberg at 12 under. Second place, Scheffler, I believe, 10 under par. TPC going on. Great golf tournament, by the way. And we got down to 50 degrees this morning. Clear and a cool 50 degrees in Jacksonville, Florida on Saturday morning, March 14th. It's going to be dry. Winds will pick up out of the east-northeast, I believe, at about 8 to 20 miles per hour at times today. High temperatures around 78. We're going to have another warm day on Sunday. Then it's going to get colder. We're going to have some cool air move into Jacksonville next week. Players' Championship update after 2 rounds. Now moving into round 3. Ludwig Aberg, a 2-shot lead heading into the weekend at the Players, as we mentioned a moment ago. Florida beat Kentucky. After getting a bye in the first round, Florida beat Kentucky in the next round. Now they're playing Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is winning that game in the first half. We'll try to get an update on that game here in a moment, as we're still going at it in episode show number 24. The Jacksonville Icemen with a good Friday night, March 13, 2026 overtime win, 2-1 over the Greenville Swamp Rabbits at home at the arena at the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. The Icemen now 21-27 and 7+1 overtime shootout loss earlier in the East Coast Hockey League 2025 season. That information comes to us from BigJReport.com. Duval Raiders won their first couple of, they're like 2-0 in semi-pro football. We want to mention the Duval Raiders. There's been a lot of trash talking going on. Gators beat Kentucky 71-63, but now they're losing to Vanderbilt in the next round. So how about that? Jaguars have signed some players like Buster Brown. Monturk Brown is coming back. They lost to Etienne. Travis Etienne moving on to the New Orleans Saints. Jacksonville Sharks Indoor Football League tickets are on sale this week as they get ready for the IFL season. You know, some sad news to report. You know, I'm a big Hogan's Heroes guy. So, JC, when I'm listening to your show on Thursday nights at LakeUfallahits.com, great internet radio where it's all good. JC, when I'm listening to your show, sometimes I keep one eye on Me TV and watch Hogan's Heroes. Some sad news, though. Hogan's Heroes is being replaced on Me TV by the Golden Girls of all people. My goodness. The Golden Girls had a good show, but it wasn't Hogan's Heroes. And the Bengals shouldn't be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's my thought. Tell me why they should, JC. Should they be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Day one of the players, actually, this is how it can change. McNeely, Smotherman, and Thigala were all tied at -5 moving into round 2, and now none of those three guys are in the top 2 going into round 3. Currently, cool air is back, and it got kind of windy Friday morning, 55 cool degrees Friday morning, 50 degrees on Saturday morning. Winds mainly out of the east-northeast at about now 8 to 20 miles per hour. And let's see, I was trying to get some information about the Jaguars. We got a lot of stuff about the Jaguars coming up that we want to talk about. And hey, make sure you tune in. JC is in the pub with internet radio, playing your requests live every Thursday night at LakeUfallahits.com. JC in the pub. In the Pub with JC, live on Thursday night, 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Great music request show. And we're continuing on here with a lot going on. The TPC is underway. Jaguars lost some players. Dale Murphy, great Atlanta Braves baseball player, finished his career, I believe, with the Philadelphia Phillies late in his career. Happy belated birthday to Dale Murphy. I believe Dale is like 70 years old, JC. Happy belated birthday to Dale Murphy. He was born on March the 12th back in 1956. I think he just hit 70. Saw a cool picture of the snake, Ken Stabler, back when he was in high school. That's on our Big J Report Facebook group, actually. So that's some of what's going on out there. Again, the Jags have obviously lost some players. Chris Rodriguez Jr. is a new running back the Jaguars have signed from the Washington Commanders. But when you talk about him replacing Etienne, that's not completely true. He will replace Etienne from the standpoint of Etienne left in free agency and went to the Saints, and now Chris Rodriguez leaving Washington and coming to Jacksonville. But Brachel Tootin is probably going to be the starter. And Chris Rodriguez Jr. is going to be kind of the he's kind of a power back. So you got a couple of different styles in the backfield. Liam Cohen is very familiar with both of these guys. So you're going to see some back and forth between Chris Rodriguez Jr. and Brayshaw Tootin. I don't know how, consistent Tootin is going to be as far as being able to carry the load. That's what I'm trying to say. I think you're going to need both of these guys. Chris Rodriguez Jr. recently signed from the Washington Commanders. Brayshaw Tootin moving into his second year, still under a rookie deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, again, the Jacksonville Jaguars are signing former Commanders running back Chris Rodriguez to a 2-year deal, as we understand it. So, as far as the Florida Gators basketball team goes, let me see if I can get a score. That game, Vanderbilt was winning. Vanderbilt's, they're a dangerous team. They're going to be in the NCAA basketball tournament too. Georgia's got 22 wins. They're probably going to get a bid to the NCAA basketball tournament, but not a real high seed. Halftime score, Vanderbilt's got a 13. Can you imagine having a good game? But we'll be back to update what's going on with Florida. Could their SEC basketball tournament come to an end? They won the regular season basketball championship, though, with the Florida Gators. Florida's going to be in the tournament, most likely a number 1 seed. Could they fall to number 2? Probably not. They've had such a great run. Florida won the SEC basketball regular season championship by 3 games over the closest opponent. So Florida had a great regular season. I mean, I can obviously pull up the the standings. We can take a look at the SEC basketball standings as far as where Florida finished. I mean, they were 16-2 in the regular season. So the teams that were the closest to Florida were like 13-5. And Florida was 16-2 in the regular season of the Southeastern Conference. Then they got a 17th conference win over Kentucky after getting a bye in the first round. I think we're just going to wrap it up. We're going to be back a little later with episode show number 24A. Jags cornerback Buster Brown stays in Jacksonville with a huge 3-year contract extension worth nearly $33 billion over the next 3 years. I'm going to kind of try to put a list together of the players leaving, the players staying. We know Dewey is off to Arizona. ETN has signed with the Saints. The Jaguars did get Chris Rodriguez, a running back, to kind of replace him from the Washington Commanders. Although Brayshaw Tootin probably will be the starting guy, but training camp kind of decides all that, right? We'll kind of wrap it up. This has been episode show number 24 of the Teal Shirt Report podcast from BigJReport.com. Again, want to thank our executive producer, JC. Also, Alex Nunnery, our contributor and correspondent, John Gaylor. Thank you guys for watching, listening, and for all of you that have helped me put this podcast episode together. Man, we appreciate it so very, very much. I am Scott with the Teal Shirt Report podcast, episode show number 24 here in the year 2026. You guys have a great day. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for listening. Take care.